Our next speaker is Jennifer Waterstar. She is a shamanic energy worker, ceremonialist, artist, and a writer. Her deep devotion and love for the earth led her to become an ordained minister of her walking prayer through the Center for Sacred Studies. Jennifer's passion for supporting women's spiritual growth blossomed into a local community of women who gather regularly in community and prayer. Jennifer has 3 children and a partner of 23 years, lives on the Sacramento River near downtown Sacramento. Among her many teachers and elders, Jennifer regards the river as her greatest teacher. Please welcome to Sac Soul Talks, Jennifer Waterstar.
Is this working? Hello, everyone. It's so beautiful to be here. This is my first time coming. I'm so grateful and honored to be invited here and to see so many people that I love in the audience. This is just, it feels wonderful. So old friends and new friends feels really good. And it's interesting, all the synchronicities that have come up today and have woven into what I've been asked to share with you, and specifically the circle. So typically, when I speak to a group, it's in a circle, and energetically that feels very different because the circle, nobody is in front and nobody is behind. We're all equal. And so I would like everybody to close their eyes for a moment. If your legs are crossed, just uncross your legs and bring your feet to the ground. And let's take a deep breath together. And exhale. And we were just in a circle, so this should be easy. I want you to imagine that we are sitting in a circle. And just bring that to your mind's eye. Noticing again how when you're in a circle, nobody is in front, nobody is behind. And how the energy moves in a different way, how we're all connected when we're in a circle. And keeping that awareness, go ahead and open your eyes. Thank you. And it feels very different, doesn't it? And that's how I feel today. I feel like we're all equal here, and I feel very supported by all of you, so thank you. And so the circle, this is a segue into what I was shown to talk about today, and it's interesting that JG brought up the circle, and Tina brought up the circle, and it is a very feminine shape, and the earth works in a circle. And the way that nature works together, all pieces are important, and all pieces are needed to come together to make the whole work. No piece is more important than the other. Everything is equal. And at some point along the way, humans decided that we were going to take ourselves out of that circle, and we decided to make a different system, right? We decided that we were going to build a pyramid system, and we were going to place ourselves on the very top as the most important, right? We're the most important. And then maybe right underneath there, if we have pets, dogs and cats, and maybe the rest of the animals, and then the elements, and then the earth herself. And our relationship really changed at that point with the earth. And there are still communities that live in harmony with the earth and didn't lose that relationship. But by and large, our civilized society has taken on this pyramid concept. And so we didn't really stop there. We thought it was such a great idea, this pyramid concept, that within the human race, we decided to create another pyramid. And so within the human race, there's a pyramid, and some people are on the very top. They're the most important, right? And then it comes down to who we consider the least important. And the people that are on the very top are probably the people that are the wealthiest and have the most power, and they have the biggest voice. And all the way down to the bottom, you might imagine maybe refugees, homeless people, outcasts, they might not have any voice at all. And a lot of energy coming through with this. So most of us fall somewhere in between, right? Most of us fall somewhere in between this pyramid. And what this creates is a lot of separation, right? Because we're not on the same page. There's this perception that some people are more important and their voice is more important, and then there's others that don't have a voice at all. And what does this system create for us in the way that we live our lives? It might affect the way that decisions that we make in our lives, like what jobs we take. It might affect decisions about people that we interact with, you know. And, you know, I don't know how many people I know that are talented artists, writers, and healers that would love to just go out and do what they do, like to share their gifts, but they're not able to because maybe it doesn't feed into this system. It's not monetized, and it's not considered important because it doesn't feed the top of the pyramid, right? So what happens is we shelve those gifts, and they go to the side, and then we plug into this pyramid, and we do a job to make money, and then our soul work gets pushed to the side. So for me, I grew up in a small town in the desert outside of San Diego, near Mexico. And I grew up with a single mom, and we had very limited resources. And so for me growing up, I felt like I didn't have much of a voice. I felt like I wasn't very important in the system that I came into. Really, I felt like I just dropped out of the sky and I was like an alien. And I was constantly trying to figure out what the heck was going on. And like this was a different culture I didn't understand, and a language I didn't understand. And so to make myself feel like I belonged, I moved through life grabbing and copying and trying to understand, you know, how to be a person in this world, and born inside of this system. And then as I continued to grow up, went to school and, you know, got my first home, and maybe I felt like I inched up a little bit on this pyramid, but really, there's still always going to be somebody above me and somebody below me, and that doesn't really feel very good, you know? And the purpose of this pyramid is to climb it and to constantly strive to kind of be something, or to have more of a voice, or to show up in a different way. And so, but as we climb it, what happens? What happens, right? Then maybe there's even more people behind us that we're leaving that don't have a voice. So about 8 years ago, my family and I moved to a home on the river, and as JG said, she's my greatest teacher. And during that time, I was going through a lot of grief work for my childhood. I had a similar situation to Sabir and other things that I was coming up for healing. And so she called for me to sit by her side every night to watch the sunset for over a year, and it was like I had to do it. I was so compelled. No matter what else was going on, I had to go to the river and be with her. And something started to really transform for me, and something magical happens when you watch the sunset every night for a year. And I started to notice the rhythms, and I started to notice the patterns, and the earth started to speak to me, and I could see how everything had its place. Everything had its place, and how everything was connected. And I felt how my nervous system could just relax in that environment, because there was no striving. There was just being, and I was fully accepted for who I was. And the other thing that happened around that time is a story that I heard from a good friend, Carmen, was that the white lions in Africa, they actually start the earth song every morning. They start the day every morning with their call, and their sound is something like this. They start their sound, and then the birds come in, And then the other animals come in, and there's a wave that happens across the entire earth. And every animal has their time and their sound in that wave. Every animal has their place. And so I started to really feel into that and started to wonder, where's the human's place? Where's our place and what is our sound? And I started to feel that that loss for all of us, that we don't have that connection anymore. So what I'm proposing today, and the good news is that the pyramid is an illusion. The pyramid is an illusion. It doesn't even exist. It doesn't even exist, because the truth is that we are still connected to the earth, and we are still connected to each other. We've just forgotten. We've forgotten because this system was put into place and we were born into it, right? And we started to copy those around us, and it continued and it perpetuated, and it's caused a lot of suffering in our society. And so what I'm proposing is that going forward into 2018, we don't focus on fixing the pyramid, because the pyramid was built on a foundation of lies, right? It was built on a foundation of lies. But rather, we go back to the original way. We go back to the original way, and we put our energy into building the circle again and coming back into the circle. So back to what I was speaking about with the human sound, a lot of what I've been feeling into with my own practice too, and being with the river, is the way that humans move and the way that we speak, and is this intuitive for us? And I feel like there's something about tuning back into the earth and letting her show us how to sink back in and find that connection, to find our place in that earth song. And we move in very rigid ways, and I don't know that this is intuitive for us. And even as small as I learned at one point that humans actually used to walk toe first, and this was to kind of feel out in front of us, toe to heel. If there was something pokey, we would walk toe to heel, which makes sense. And then hard-soled shoes came in, and then we started walking heel to toe, right? So we lost that connection and that way of walking, and that our foundation affects everything in our body. And that all of us are sitting here in chairs, that's not natural for us. So we should be sitting on the floor. And so what other ways are we not moving our bodies in the fluid feminine way, again, that lets the energy move and lets us have that communion with the earth, and then lets that energy come through us, and so that we can bring it out and connect in a more natural way. And also with the voice. Each of us speak a language. Maybe we speak several languages, but it's a very narrow frequency that we speak, that we know, and we're limited. And Sukhbir can talk more about this, but in Kundalini Yoga, you chant mantras. And mantras, even if you don't understand what you're chanting, the tip of your tongue hits different parts of your mouth, the meridians in your mouth, and it creates an experience and an expansion. So what sounds are we meant to make? There's a whole other range out there that we're not using and we're not tapping into, because we are set in this focused frequency. And so playing with that, with toning and expressing intuitively and moving intuitively and getting into the earth, getting deep into the earth and connecting that way. Some other practices that I've been working with is, my neighbors, if they were to walk up on me, would think I was insane, and that's okay, but I get down on all fours in my backyard and I shapeshift into a lion. And I will crawl around, and I'll sniff the flowers, and I'll roll around. And if I'm having a funky day or anything's happening, if I go out there and I'm getting into my lion self, it all shifts. And suddenly I feel okay, I can go do anything now, because there's so much that we're not expressing that is natural for us to express, and there's not a space for it. So giving ourselves permission to go there, to lose our minds, right? You have to lose your mind in a society that has lost its mind to really create something new. Some of the other things I love doing is laying on the earth, belly to earth, and just breathing, and sometimes even moaning, and that vibration comes through, and I feel like it just realigns everything. And also third eye to the earth, and if I'm really in my head, I'll do a brain dump, and just third eye to the earth, dump it, dump, dump, and then when I'm clear, I'll sync up. And if I have an intention, I'll send it out, or if not, it's just my essence, and syncing it up to the nervous system of the earth with think of all the roots and the fungi and everything that's happening underneath, and it's all connected, and it goes out across the earth, right? You send something out here and it goes over there because it's all communicating. And so as we come back into this sacred technology and this powerful wisdom of the earth and how we can use that, like, you think about what's going on in politics and all this stuff over here, right? But we got the friggin' earth, like we've got the water, like we have it. It's like if we plug back in and use those resources, it is unstoppable. And that is the truth. That is the truth. So my teacher, Joe T., told us that our focus for 2018, she's my teacher through Center for Sacred Studies, her focus is to get back to a time before pain. Get back to a time before pain. And that, for me, feels like a time when we knew ourselves and we knew the earth, right? When we knew we were part of that circle and that we were all connected and that we are all one. And my words for 2018 are realization and actualization. So realizing that we are already one, we are already connected. And then to actualize that, to live it, to be it, right? And then in closing, I have a quote I'd like to share by Thomas Merton. The deepest level of communication is not communication, but communion. It is wordless. It is beyond words, and it is beyond speech, and is beyond concept. Not that we discover a new unity, we discover an older unity. We are already one, but we imagine that we are not. What we have to recover is our original unity. What we have to be is what we are. Thank you.
Yeah.